So, Tobi Adeboyega, I spent all night researching up on this individual. I've been seeing his name pop up for a couple of years. And when I finally got right into who this person was, what the whole commotion is about, let me just say this without mincing words. First of all, this person is definitely not a pastor, or at least not a pastor of the God of the Bible. And he's definitely Antichrist from things he has said with his own mouth, which I'm going to be playing for you in a minute. And he's definitely not just criminal based on the UK government's public information on account statement on what he's been doing with his church, which is obviously just a cult. I'm going to show you how someone like this, just a smart Nigerian, can jackpot to the UK to stay with family, and he could decide to set up something that has already been going on in Nigeria for decades, but he decided to play it according to the UK society and made himself not just a millionaire but literally a public figure, associating with lots of public figures. But behind this whole Tobi saga, behind him going on podcasts to interview to BBC talking about he's not being deported, or even if he comes back to Nigeria, one or two shoes can survive him in Nigeria, that's not even what I want to talk about. I want to talk about his victims. I want to talk about how he operates, because if he comes back to Nigeria, I'm guessing he's going to try to start up his cult in Nigeria. So I want to get right in. Like, if you've been hearing maybe this news, that news, and don't really know who this person is or what he has done or what he's being chased away from the UK for, let me break it down for you in this simple video. So once again, welcome to Grace Angel. Make sure to interact with me on this video. Let me know your thoughts on this Tobi guy, and yeah, let's get right into it. So, who is this Tobi guy? So, Tobi is a Nigerian who left Nigeria to the UK. First of all, his parents have been pastors. He himself has confirmed this. So, his parents are into the religious sector and they are pastors. Now, for you to really be on the same level I am in this video, you have to understand when I tell you that a whole lot of percentage of pastors we have in Nigeria are actually just prosperity gospel preachers, and they have nothing to do with the Jesus Christ that I believe in, or at least the real gospel of the Bible. But if you are not on that level, it's fine. Let's just talk about this Tobi guy single-handedly. So he's coming from a line of pastors, and that means he's smart. One thing pastors' children will tell you is that they are not really for that life, because they can tell that, okay, our parents, you people literally worship them, but back at home they don't represent Christ. And that is why having a lot of conversations with pastors' children, they don't really believe in the faith because of what they see their parents doing behind closed doors that church members don't really get to see. And so this really messes with the psychic of pastors' children, and that's why they like to distance themselves from the pastors' children title. So this Tobi guy obviously has had a whole lot of upbringing in the church, and he has seen how a church system works. So he goes to the UK when he's 22 years old, and he says he stays with his family members then, and then he starts Spac Nation when he was 25. So literally 3 years after moving to the UK, he starts his own church called Spac Nation. Now, what is Spac Nation? The full meaning is they're literally abbreviating to Spac, but I will tell you it is a cult. Now, I'm not just saying it's a cult because I'm a conspiracy theorist or all of that. I mean, even the UK government in their parliament called it a cult. People who has attended this church service called it a cult. Literally, ex-members, pastors of this church called it a church. So it is a church. It's something that has been established that it is a cult. What is a cult?
Cults, of course, is a very broad term. For a lot of scholars of religion, we tend to not use the word cult because, as we joke, cult plus time equals religion. Usually when people think about cults, what they think about is some kind of closed community that is usually dominated by some megalomaniac who controls everyone's minds. Here are 3 important things to understand about a cult. Number 1, just because it's a cult doesn't mean it's evil or insidious. Many cults bring people together for good. Number 2, there really isn't that much of a difference between a religion and a cult. A lot of the greatest religions, most successful religions in the world began as cults. And number 3, cults are as cults do. If it works towards good in the world, then it's fine. If it works towards evil in the world, then it's a problem.
So, Matthew 7 verses 20, the Bible says, by their fruits you shall know them. And that's literally what came to my mind, literally the first second, after watching this Daddy Freeze's video, trying to go to this Tobi's house, or like people call him Pastor Tobi.
So we're arriving at Crab Apple Court. And there's Abby. Hi, good morning.
And you could see the Ferraris, you could see the this, you could see the that, all bling bling, guys. So he tries to justify this by saying he has to look all bling bling, he has to look all luxurious for youth to be attracted to the Christ message. But literally in the Bible, Christ told us that you do not have to do that to attract. You don't even have to attract people to the body of Christ. People come to the body of Christ because, did you see Jesus Christ, the person who this message is centric about? I mean, the Christ message. So did he try to dress like the Pharisees? Did he try to dress like the people of Sodom and did he try to dress like all the people he was literally? No, he didn't, because the message of Christ has to be Christ-centered. You don't have to divert from the message of Christ to bring people to Christ. Then you're not bringing people to Christ, you're just bringing people to yourself. And that is basically what Tobi was doing. So Tobi's church or Tobi's cult was more focused on young people, and I'm gonna play a video for you. Now, why was his church focused on young people? It's simple. Young people are impressionable. It's easy to take a young child, and that's why sexual predators take young children, because what you've engraved into a child is gonna grow with that child. And that's why you have a lot of young children who were victims of SA growing up to now be perpetrators of this SA. So whatever you engrave on the child is gonna stick with them. It's hard to take an adult and teach them something new for them to really get into it. But once you take a child and you teach them that, it's gonna stick with them, and it stick with them more. So Tobi himself has been caught on camera specifically instructing his pastors, his leaders, to go after young children. And that is why in the UK it is said that Spac Nation has a way of going into schools, teenage schools, young schools, the university, to try to get young people. And that is why the demographics of Spac Nation Church is from the ages of 6 to 30. So it's hard to find any member that is above the age of 30. It's hard. I'm not saying there's no member. So like a good 80-90% plus of their members are below the age of 30, and there's a reason for that. Let's watch this video. Like, how is this not cringe?
Discreetly, because we are now on Periscope as well. Listen to this. There are two set of people that we need right now. Only you're 30 years old now, right? Only your Pastor Sam and Pastor Obi, right? Is that correct? Is that correct, guys? Talk now. 30. Okay. Listen to this now. I want to make a point. And those of you who are 28, 27, 29, 20, whatever, please listen. I don't need that age bracket. No. So, hostels and uni accommodation be targeted 110%. Everywhere there is young people.
Welcome to the Exposer. So here you have more proof that Spac Nation Pastor Tobi deliberately targeted kids, or should I say young people. And it's in that video. We have other videos which will be posted at another time, because a lot of people always wondered why Spac Nation had a lot of young members. And here you have the answer, guys. Because the main pastor himself is there having a private meeting, encouraging all of these pastors to target younger people.
What kind of money possessed or money loving do you have to be to open a church, to open a cult, call it a church, and specifically target young people, saying he's taking young people from the street life in London? Let me even explain the whole politics about taking young people from the streets and turning them away from gang life and bringing them to Christ. Watch this video and we're going to explain that real quick.
They're not leaders. Leaders don't do that. Leaders do not misinform. They do not mislead. They do not abuse trust. those who are leaders, who are doing that, shouldn't be in those positions.
It was supposed to be a beacon of hope for vulnerable young people and a place of redemption for ex-gang members.
The church is on a mission to save troubled young people.
Gang members, the victims of knife crime, and their families are being offered safe houses.
But this once pioneering church, hailed by politicians and the media for its positive role in the lives of young black people and former gang members, is accused of betraying its congregation. Spac Nation, headed by enigmatic leader Pastor Tobi Adeboyega, has created the conditions for fraudsters to flourish, who target young black people from poor areas. Some of its pastors have pressured teenagers and young people into thousands of pounds worth of debt by taking out loans in their names, while they put on an extravagant show of wealth to attract even more youngsters to join.
Money? Jesus Christ!
When I first became aware of Spac Nation, I thought, as many have done, that it was just another church. I started to think differently when one of their leaders stood as the Conservative candidate in a Croydon Council by-election. Now, there's nothing wrong in a church leader standing for election, of course. What was odd was to find hundreds of young members of this so-called church shouting abuse at other parties' canvassers, shouting obscenities at the council leader, and intimidating voters on their own doorsteps, including by video recording them. When I tweeted my concerns about this unchurch-like behaviour, I was inundated with emails and phone calls from young people and their parents making alarming allegations about Spac Nation. I took a full 2 days to phone them all back. But from that, I was able to piece together what was really going on inside this organisation. I am convinced that Spac Nation is a cult. They advertise events targeted mainly at young black people in poorer parts of London. They offer free food or free bowling sessions to attract young people to come along. The young leaders vet the young people who turn up, and they then target those who appear to be the most susceptible. They befriend these particular young people, and they invite them to further functions and events, including dinners. One of the organisation's leaders will start phoning them, sometimes several times a day. They're then given lifts by that individual to meeting. Then what appears to be brainwashing starts. They're told that if their life is unsuccessful, if their family is poor, that's because they're not giving enough money to God. They call it seed. If you give seed to God, as much as you can lay your hands on, you will become rich. This is the message they try to pump into these young people's heads. The organisation's leaders display extraordinary wealth. They drive cars worth hundreds of thousands of pounds. They wear Rolex watches and expensive designer suits, and they live in multi-million-pound properties. All of this way beyond the experience of the young people that they are targeting.
What his members does, or what he has trained his members and his top ranking leaders to do, is they go to these schools, they go to these places where young people are. If you're a graduate and you're doing influencing, or you're trying to get into acting, they go to where young people are. They tell you, they don't even tell you they're bringing you to a church. They just tell you, oh, come to this influencer thing.
So that's why I create the brunches. I took 10 girls out just to go eat, go have fun, like take them out of like where their mindset is at, where their headspace is at, and just go and enjoy themselves. So that's what I did, and I won't lie to you, they enjoyed it. They can say that they enjoyed it as well, because generally we had fun. We did like the speed dating session, we spoke around with different people, and it was great because they met people like different career paths as well. So it's like, it was a great day, like we all enjoyed it. They had cake and stuff, like it was calm. So then after that, even before I did these events, I did contact parents. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't not contact parents if, like, I know they're young. I know they were from the age of 13 to like 16, because that's what I said on my story. So I know I'm gonna have to contact parents because they are young, and I even messaged them as well, messaged some of them as well, saying that, okay.
So they lure young children from like that. And if you're a young kid who has been in the life of crime, you don't have a place to go, you're on the streets, they'll tell you, don't worry, come to Spac Nation. We have a bed for you, we have food for you. And of course, these homeless kids leave the streets and go to Spac Nation. Now, even the kids who live with their parents, because of the way Spac Nation is designed to make you to start rebelling against your parents, these kids basically have to run away from homes. And because they don't have anywhere to stay, they get to stay in the Spac Nation trap house, which is what we're back to now. Spac Nation trap houses. What are these? These are houses that top members of Tobi's church or high-ranking pastors in Tobi's church, they own these houses all around. These are like houses, different rooms, but because of the number of people in the room, they only make videos in front of the houses or outside the houses, like, oh, this is Spac Nation trap house. But when you go inside the rooms, it's so crowded because, you know, they just keep taking people and bringing them to the trap houses just to make sure they are sealed into the Spac Nation. And these same trap houses has been led by some of their pastors who have had criminal records. There is this particular lady who kept coming up, Miriam. You have videos of her scattered all over the internet. And listen to this video. Is this a video that a pastor in a church should be saying?
Why are you greeting me? I'm not gonna have a relationship with you because you don't. I don't need 50 or 500 girls that have their own mind, that know what to do with their own salary. No, I'm looking at a kind of woman that is going to produce finances. I said to my girls this morning, I don't know what you think is happening in this house. I tell you what to do with your finances. I tell you where you're going. It's not like you have an option. If you have an option as you're leaving the house, yes sir, as you're leaving the house, drop your key in the letterbox.
And so these trap houses has had several police reports of SA, of abuse, you know, because you have to take these children from the streets, or these children have to be rebellious and leave their families to come to this church and live in the trap houses, so they don't have anywhere to go. And Tobi got away scot-free from this. I'm guessing his explanation from what I've seen is that, oh, he doesn't own the trap houses, you know, it's just individuals in his church who can afford to rent houses and bring other people to stay with them for the church. And I'm like, come on, like, I mean, you're smart to put it in that system, but you want to tell me that you don't know what has been going on in your trap houses for years? I mean, the guy is just smart. He knows how to distance himself from so many incriminating things, but unfortunately he himself has been caught in some of the incriminating documents. So let's look at this. And he gives out Mercedes to this guy, and this guy goes on a documentary talking about, oh, Pastor Tobi gave me this Mercedes, and they try to make it look like, oh, if you're a young guy on the streets, we're gonna bring you, we're gonna clean you up, and we're gonna give you money to start your business and all of that. That is the image they portray for the media, and they go on with their propaganda interviews showing, oh, Pastor Tobi invests in young criminal life, he gives them a second chance. Whereas it's been said that some of these people he even brings in have not totally renounced the gang lifestyle. Some experiences from neighbors living around these trap houses say sometimes knives are thrown, sometimes loud music, sometimes their invasion of their privacy is breached because there are a lot of people in the houses, fights can break in. So like, they are still living the thug life, the street life, basically. I'm not saying it's not possible to take someone from the street and clean them. No, I'm saying what Tobi's church was doing is not taking people and bringing them to Christ. It's taking people, putting them in these trap houses and extorting.
Hi everyone, I thought I'd make a quick video just to explain to people who don't know who Spac Nation actually are. They've rebranded as Nation Family because of all the controversy, but essentially they're a fake church operating in London, and they're luring young black girls and young black boys into their cult. And the moment they're in, they're putting them in insane amounts of debt by forcing them to take out business loans, forcing them to forfeit their student loans, draining their overdrafts, fraud, all kinds of crap, just so that they can push the money back into the church to fund this twat. This twat is called Pastor Tobi. He's basically the mastermind behind it all, but this is who they worship, and they figured out a new way to target young girls on TikTok through the whole rich girl, rich dad trend. So please, please, please pay attention. I'm going to dissect the videos just so that you can protect your loved ones.
So in 2012, Tobi announced or registered his church as a charity organization. What this means is, in the UK, charity organizations can do business deals. Charity organizations can buy properties, they can own properties, they can take business deals, but more importantly, there are no taxes because it's supposed to be for charity purposes. So there is no tax on the church, so the church can buy this, buy that, do this deal, do that deal, money coming into the account, but no taxes. And isn't that just very convenient? That is no longer a church, in my opinion. That is not just a business organization, but a fraudulent one at that, because you're registering as a charity organization. Meanwhile, your pastor is living this lifestyle. What charity are you doing? Say you make 100,000 naira and you're taking 2,000 naira and you're giving in charity, and what happens to the rest thousands of naira? I think this is what most charity organizations do. And he was steadily running the scam in the UK. So his pastors, right? Pastors have either been to prison. There's another pastor who has up to 5 counts of fraud. There's another one who has been convicted of credit card fraud. This one said he's been convicted of attempted murder. So all his pastors have all this shady, they are either hardened criminals or have fraud related charges, and these are the people that you tax them with collecting money from young people.
Vic told me his 20-year-old brother joined Spac Nation earlier this year. As a budding football coach, his pastor offered him a tempting proposition.
My mum phoned me.
Yeah.
I was like, your brother started up a business.
Really?
And she was really excited about it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of him. He told me, no, these people in the church approached me and said X, Y, Z, they can help me start a coaching thing.
The pastor registered a company in Vic's brother's name and opened a business account for him with HSBC.
When I was asking about the application process, he said, no, I never filled in an application. I just gave them my details and they did it. So straight away, I'm just thinking, that's not a church's responsibility to be doing that.
The business account had an overdraft facility. How much was that?
£2,000 overdraft was.
£2,000? Yeah. What happens to that money?
So they basically take him to the bank. He withdraws £1,400, give it to them, because they said it was part of consultation fee / helping him set this business up.
But there was no business and no money in the account. In the end, Vic's brother was left £2,000 in debt to the bank. Why do you think he fell for this?
There's an element of him not doing research or being diligent enough. However, in ethnic minority communities, a lot of families, like God, like faith in general, it's like a beacon of hope for most families. In his head, there's no reason why they would be trying to trick him into anything or trying to do anything that can get him in potential trouble. So he would obviously take their word for it. Why would you use God's name to trick me?
They literally put the people under pressure to bring the money. They literally make them, and I'm getting to this as a broad topic, bleed for seed. They made them take out the business loan scam, which is these young kids from whatever paths they bring them in. So they tell you, okay, we can help you start up a business, and just give us this so information about you, and we're gonna help you open a business. But what they don't tell this kid is they're just gonna help them open the business and then open a business account, because in the UK a business account gets up to 2,000 euros. And they take out business loans as well. So when this person knows that, oh, there's a loan on my account, they're like, no, it's fine, we're just gonna close the business down in a couple of years, it's fine. This money that we've got, this is our percentage for consultation. You just take this little bit. They make sure to give just a little to the person, so the person is somehow complicit to this crime, but they take the bulk of the money. So what they do is they just take this person who doesn't know that they're a scam, this person who is just coming to find God. They tell you, oh, welcome to Spac Nation, you're probably living in one of our trap houses, right? All right, let's open a bank, a business for you. And because how they get people is they sell dreams to them. Oh, you want to do this, we'll help you. Oh, you want to be an actress, we'll help you. You want to become a musician, oh, we have a studio, right? So they draw you in with your hopes, with your dreams, promise you that they're gonna do this for you, and at the end, what do? They take your information, they open business accounts, shady business accounts that always close. And this is one thing that is known in Spac Nation. Even all their pastors have opened businesses that have closed in 2 years to 4 years, and these businesses, if you look at their records, they all have taken out business loans. So it's like they found an aspect in the UK business account sector, and they've basically been using different people to cash out from that sector. Now, some of their pastors, like I said, have been credit card fraud people that have been convicted or have had charges or allegations labeled against them, some of them obviously being Nigerian descent. So these pastors have access to business accounts, and I don't know how fraud works, but I know that that is just going deep down into the fraud world. So I'm just going to pause on there. So I'm trying to show you that this church does so many shady deals like that. And listen to what Pastor Tobi himself say about this Jesus Christ, that he even opened the church to say he's Christ-like. This is what he has to say about Jesus Christ.
Want to have a debate with me on what? Do I look like a debater to you? The guy wants to have a debate with me. Debate called the Bokuni on Jesus. I better come up for here, Jelly. I'm talking about soul winning. You want to have a debate with me about Jesus? No be debate, not deboku. I jump on here talking about having a debate with me about Jesus. Who is Jesus anyway? Who be that? May you have deboku in your life. Debate called debate. Talking about soul winning, you want to have a debate with me on Jesus? You stay awake at 1 a.m. to have a debate about Jesus? Jesus called John Disney. Have a debate with yourself, my friend. Are you still not addicted to pornography? Watch that one. Get out of here.
Now, in case you don't know, this is also the same Pastor Tobi that this particular footballer has been saying, oh, Pastor Tobi slept with my wife. Pastor Tobi is the father of my 3 kids. Pastor Tobi is this. And I remember reading back on Instablog on all this. I'm like, who is even this Pastor Tobi? And I will just swipe. And now knowing that it's this man, I'm like, is this man really smug out here talking about, oh, he's going to come back to Nigeria. The UK is going to miss him. He's going to come back to Nigeria and just 2 shoes can survive. I mean, this man is so materialistic, even more than Hush Puppy, who is a convicted scammer. And one thing with people of this kind of nature, they like to seek public validation, which is why you're going to see them affiliating themselves with a lot of celebrities. Because I mean, think about it, even the scams that have affected us Nigerians, the Bitcoin scams, the this scams, they were all affiliated with some popular person or not. And so scams and scammers, basically, especially the ones who are very well to do, they like to give themselves some sort of authentication, some sort of validation by associating with well-known figures. That way they give themselves some sort of, at least they give the people some sort of, oh, you know, this person is credible. Look at this person with him. Look at that person with him.
My son and my nephew's ugly experience at Pastor Tobi's office, 5, 6, 7 years ago. They narrated everything. They sat me down for 3 hours 4 years ago to tell me what they went through, how they were forced to bring half of their salary, how they were put in a mansion to tell them, to brainwash them that this money you are bringing is for God, how they were forced to go and bring their friends and everybody to the church, you know, so to tell them to do the same. It was a very funny and ugly experience for them, that even my nephew up till today is still bitter about Pastor Tobi all the time. He said, that man, uncle, I not go agree. You know, they had a very nasty experience. When my son was younger, because all these British boys, you know, I don't want him to join all this knife cartel and all that. I brought him home at 16 for him to be a bit rugged. But we have to let him go back after some time. So his cousin, which is my nephew, took him to Pastor Tobi's church, and all the experience was ugly. My advice for Pastor Tobi is, UK doesn't tolerate that. Many pastors in Nigeria, if they are in UK, they will be in jail.
So even this Pastor Tobi's brother, who both have the same mom, the same dad, the same pastor parents, he himself opened a church, or was affiliated with a church in the UK separate from Spac Nation, and this church, he himself has a lot of fraud allegations, fraud charges brought against him, what he was doing with the church, basically extorting money from people in that same church. So because of the heat of that church, he allegedly packed up that church and joined his brother in Spac Nation. Now, of course, he became a pastor in Spac Nation. The money in the bank statement that Spac Nation says, okay, this is how much we pay our people, it doesn't tally up with the lifestyle that these people are actually living. So if this person is a full-time pastor, we don't see him doing any other businesses, he doesn't have any other jobs, and you're saying, okay, this is how much you're paying them monthly, how does it add up with the lifestyle that they are showcasing? Which is why most of this is also fake lifestyle, I must say. But for you to keep up a fake lifestyle facade, a lot of money has to go into it as well. It's been said that some of the pastors allegedly make some of these young impressionable kids to pick up drugs from this point and take to this point, basically like a drug mule. Because like I said, some of these pastors or some of these leaders in the church are people who have charges brought against them in the court of law in the UK, or allegations basically, or people that have been known in the streets to be about this life. So because they've cleaned up, and I look at it like this because I'm a rational thinker, right? I don't just believe everything. So I'm looking at Pastor Tobi talking about, oh, he brings up kids from the streets and he brushes them, teaches them this life, and I'm looking at it like, if this guy is a smart Nigerian, he'll probably walk up to a gang member and be like, okay, so you can come to my church and we'll just say like, oh, you've given your life to Christ, you'll know more about that life. You might be about that life, but my church is gonna give you an umbrella that makes people think, because before all these allegations started coming about Spac Nation in the UK, people genuinely thought this was just a different kind of youth church taking kids from the street life. But I'm thinking Pastor Tobi probably told them like, oh, you know, the church is gonna give you a new image, you could still be doing your deals underneath. Of course, I get my money at the end of the day, I'm happy. But it's just like Nigerian pastors, like, oh, we can take the corruption proceeds, like from their big politician church members. Oh, bring the money. We don't care if it's Nigerian money. It's just like that. So he could still have members that he knows are still involved in the crime life, but he just uses his church umbrella to clean their image and all of that and make them pastors basically. So it's been said in Spac Nation that the more you give, the more acknowledged you are. It's just like in Nigerian churches where, oh, we know this chairman gives more than the rest of the church, so whenever the chairman is in church, oh, he gets special recognition and all of that. So it's been said in Spac Nation that if you're a good giver, not only would you be recognized in the church, you would also be like a pastor, or they'll give you some sort of leadership and they'll tell you, oh, bring your rich friends, bring your so-so friends. Bleeding for seed in Spac Nation is, you're a young kid that we've brought from whatever streets or taken from whatever life of crime to a better life, which I'm guessing this life is even worse because now you have pressure to give money to the church. So bleeding for seed is telling these kids that, oh, even if you don't have money, that is the kids who can't afford to give a whole lot, you have to go to the hospital, sell or donate your blood and bring the money to the church. Now this is where it even gets criminal in their pursuit for money. These kids, because remember how young they are, they can't just go to the hospital and say they want to donate for money or sell their blood for money. Some of these pastors have been known to go with these kids to the hospitals to pen down their signature and their name as the kids' guardians, as the kids' parents, so the hospital can take out the blood and give the kids money for this. Like, you take children away from the comfort of, you take children away from their families, you take vulnerable children from the streets with no families, and you make them bleed for seed. What part of this is biblical? What part of this screams a Christ-like church? What part of this is even okay to do as a human being?
For requesting some of their members to donate blood in order to generate income for the church.
Until our seed, until it's a thing, we're bleeding for this. I'm talking about bleeding. Do you get? Bleeding for this thing. We're not gonna be taking the places we're meant to. Like,
and these pastors follow these kids and act as their consenting guardian, and these kids bleed for seed. And if you ask these kids why they are selling their blood to get money, they'll tell you, oh, they are giving to the church, or they are giving to God. And Pastor Tobi will tell you himself that he gave, and that's why he has everything he has. When he came to London, he was washing plates and he gave. That is why he has what he has. And so you have people just going mad, just giving. So my earnest conclusion as to who this Tobi Adeboyega guy is, I'm saying he's not just not a pastor, he's also a very smug person. And the way he speaks, I am actually proud of him to some extent, because I know what he is and I know what he's done. But I'm actually, the way he speaks, you could tell this person is not just a smug person. He thinks he's so confident, he thinks he's so smart, the way he talks. And that is one thing the members will tell you, the way he talks, he commands respect. They always say, and I'm like, command what? He's just a smart person who knows what to say to get you to give him, or to get you to surrender your mental or your logical thinking whatsoever whenever he's speaking. And that's why he can say things like this.
Basic person in the month should give £1,000. I think that's normal. I think it's no big deal. It's not even that deep. If the person sitting next to you decides to bankrupt themselves for that cause, is there a cause for it? Something that I have to do. You know, it is not, someone say, oh, all these people who get into debt is because they just want something that they can't afford. That's not true. That is not true. How do you get into debt with things you really need? This stuff. You know why I'm saying this to you? I see a new army coming. I see new soldiers coming into Spac. They've got gold and silver. There are many. They've got resources. We've never experienced wealth. It is coming. You don't understand. Let me tell you, an average church, if a near rich person, rich means someone that is earning about 5K a month and is able to give 1K out of it. If they get those kind of people, quickly they are promoted to top position.
And so when he's talking, he's always so confident, he's always so pompous. You know, he's probably studied a whole lot of books on how to be a very good court leader, on how to get people to obey whatever you say without using their logical brain to think or to be rational. And so I would say he's a very smart Nigerian who left Nigeria and already knew about how a church system works, but decided to reinvent himself into saying, oh, he's a youth pastor or going for young people, where in fact he's just nothing other than a charlatan. That we already have a lot of charlatan problems in Nigeria, but this time he's in the UK, and so he twisted it to the UK society, which is that a lot of young people are in the UK misguided, some of them in the street life, court life, gang life, some of them in family houses that they don't want to stay, they would rather just leave, or some of them are just kids without no parents in the streets of London. So he knew how to go to the schools, he knew how to train his pastors, his leaders to do the dirty work for him, and he basically was just the one getting the money at the end of the day. And his leaders not just pressurized but committed a whole lot of fraudulent activities to get members to keep giving to Pastor Tobi Adeboyega, right? And I'm like, this guy should really stop talking about, oh, he's not being deported, or oh, the UK this, the UK that. I don't care about what your problem is with the UK government, which it looks like you're in a lot of shit with them, you're being deported literally. My problem is for you to sit down and answer any question about the victims, because whenever interviewers ask you questions about the victim, you somehow find a way to not answer that question and keep talking about, oh, you've not been convicted of any crime. We're not talking about if you've been convicted of any crime or not. We're talking about, did you do this to the victims? Because the victims have looked you in the eye and told you that not only have you scarred them for life, you've made a lot of people to stop believing in the actual body of Christ, because you're just another smart Nigerian who knows how to play the church game, who knows how to play the pastor game to make yourself rich.
And to live there, if I arrive in Nigeria, I will arrive with a cavalry of very fine young men and women, and we will live way better than we are living in our assignment ground. I don't need to stress about how to have money in Nigeria. 2 shoes, 3 maybe, will sustain me for 3 years. Shoes that we invested in, shoes, what they wear on the leg. Please, I'm saying this publicly. So what is immigration? It's belittling, and that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to belittle not just me, the black race.
And so you can take your 2 shoes that can survive you in Nigeria, and you can take whatever other proceeds you have, and you can shove it down your, because we genuinely do not want to have more people like you in Nigeria, and we definitely do not believe you when you say, oh, this, that, because we can hear the victims and we know what you've done to young lives, and you can't change that whether or not you get convicted by the UK government or not. Your victims are still going to be your victims until you die, because you did this to them.
I'm actually tired of hearing Spac Nation come up on social media. I say I'm tired of it, but it's obviously good because people need to know about these friggin' terrible people. But the fact that they're still free and even still have the audacity to do what they're doing is a shock for me.
Because if you don't know, Spac Nation, a couple years ago, they were exposed. They're meant to be some sort of church, but it was just weird. It was a pyramid scheme. They were getting underage kids to take out loans that the adults were like basically spending their money. They were getting kids to leave their like parents' houses and come live with them in some big house, and like just messing with them and taking advantage of them. The pastor, the main pastor, Pastor Tobi, is apparently still free on these streets. I didn't even know the man was in London, but he's here because I've been seeing him in like concerts and shit. And yeah. But my problem is they've now started doing brunches for 13 to 16-year-old children in the name of female empowerment. I be children empowerment. I be women. It can't even be women empowerment because that's children. Oh, it's just predatory behavior. That's all that is. Because what is your business inside taking anyone's business inside taking 13 to 16-year-olds for brunch? What the fuck? Oh God, it's very disheartening to me because it's so easy for them to ruin really young kids' lives. And it's just mad that there are really people out there, a group of people who sit down and come up with these ideas. It's absolutely disgusting. And I see them come up on my stories on my TikTok from time to time, doing like, look what God has done for me, and doing, I came from the streets, now look at my big mansion. But it's despicable, disgusting money. If anything, as far as I'm concerned, even the the Dubai Porter Potty people, they are 100 times better than those people because they're not taking advantage of little children. If you want to not have a conscience, don't have a conscience and do it on your own. Involving kids, disgusting.
When you see victims of cults, victims of people like this, victims of the church come out and talk, these are people who have sacrificed years and believed in someone so much they saw this person as God, and now the scales are falling off their eyes and they know this person is just a human being who was really smart to play God. And that is why I say he is not just Antichrist, and he's definitely not the pastor. He's just a smart person who knows how to use a Bible to extort from people. And that is everything I have to say about Pastor Tobi, or like I like to call him, just Tobi. And so I put it to you and to other believers of Spac, because when he was showing up to the UK court, you could see his members following him, and that's normal because if you've seen documentaries like In the Name of God, his own court is even small. His own believers are even small. I mean, we've had people take their lives because of what their court leader told them. And so when I see images like that, I just shake my head at how these human beings have somehow mastered the art of compelling people. And so I just want to look you straight in the eye and say, not everyone believes your bullshit. Not everyone believes your smugginess. Your interviews are just giving not just guilty, but guilty and know that I'm guilty, but I have to convince you that I'm not, by being confident, by saying whatever I have to say, and by maintaining posture. But from your victims, we can tell that you've done so much harm to so many people, and I just want you to know that not everyone believes you. And that is basically everything I have to say about this individual, Tobi Adeboyega, and I'm gonna end here. All of that information can be seen on the internet. There is this YouTube page directly exposing this guy and all of his pastors, calling them each out by each of their names. And the YouTube page is called The Exposer. I'm guessing this person was a former deep member or inside member of this cult, because this person not just posted the official records, bank records of the Spac Nation, but also talking about names, talking about events. And this person has been putting out videos for years, since 4 years ago, exposing this cult and this Pastor Tobi. And so many people have been coming out to expose him. So many people have been coming out to say their truth, but they've been bullied, they've been silenced. So I'm helping them to spread the word in Nigeria, because this guy is definitely trying to talk about coming back to Nigeria. We do not want you here, except you're just coming to live as a normal disgraced citizen that has been chased from the UK. just like most people have been chased from the UK because of criminal charges. In a Nigerian system that the judiciary does not even work, God forbid he starts this in Nigeria, there is nobody that's going to check him, because there's a lot of them already in Nigeria. No one is going to check him. No one is going to do anything. His scam is just going to keep going, and he's going to keep maintaining this characteristics like, oh, he's a holy pastor. You can see from the way he talks like he's holy, but those are all a facade, because he's playing a character of a pastor. So thank you for watching another video of mine. I really hate to be doing this, but I hate because most Nigerians don't read the information that are on the internet. They just idolize some people and just give credit to some people because they've seen them with their favorite celebrities. I'm saying this person has a whole lot about him on the internet that can give you an insight of what he's done, and that is what this video is basically about. And so thank you for watching another video of mine, and I'll see you next time.